How does a country like North Korea manage to keep its military powerful and its regime running despite being one of the most isolated nations in the world? With few resources and constant sanctions, what exactly keeps the economy going? In this video, we'll take a closer look at how North Korea makes money, the strange methods they use to bypass restrictions, and how people inside the country do business under a controlled system. History and background. North Korea, officially known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, DPRK, has a history of isolation and strict control. After the Korean War ended in the 1950s, the country adopted a rigid communist system under the leadership of the Kim family. The regime implemented a policy of juche, or self-reliance, which meant that North Korea aimed to operate largely independent of the global economy. For decades, North Korea remained closed off from the rest of the world. This isolation helped the regime maintain strict control over the country's resources and military. North Korea has one of the largest standing armies in the world, as well as a nuclear weapons program that continues to grow, despite international protests and sanctions. The country spends a significant portion of its resources, up to 40% of its GDP, on military upkeep, making it one of the most militarized states on Earth. But how does North Korea fund such an expensive military and infrastructure while facing heavy international sanctions? How North Korea makes money. North Korea's finances have been a puzzle for many, especially considering how much the country is cut off from the world. The regime runs a secretive operation known as Office 39, which is responsible for raising foreign currency for the state. This office is involved in a variety of operations, from cybercrime to smuggling, all designed to bring in cash despite global efforts to stop it. One of the major sources of revenue for North Korea is its trade with China. Despite international sanctions, the country still relies heavily on Chinese imports and exports. In 2023, North Korea was known to have exported $165 million worth of wigs, fake eyelashes, and even fake beards. While these goods might seem trivial, they represent nearly 60% of the country's exports that year. However, North Korea doesn't just rely on trade in ordinary goods. The country has become infamous for its involvement in cybercrime. Hackers trained by the regime have been responsible for stealing cryptocurrency from exchanges and individuals around the world. In fact, in 2024 alone, North Korea's cybercriminal activities were reported to have stolen over $1.3 billion, much of which goes directly into funding the country's nuclear weapons program. These illegal activities have allowed the country to circumvent sanctions and maintain its military ambitions. However, this system is far from perfect. North Korea's sanctions-breaking trade has been known to operate under the radar, often through complex smuggling routes that involve ship-to-ship transfers at sea, making it difficult for international authorities to track the origin of goods. Business operations inside North Korea. Business within North Korea operates under tight control, as the government restricts most private enterprise. However, there are some areas of the economy that have been opened up to foreign investors, particularly along the borders with China and Russia. These special economic zones provide limited opportunities for business activities. One such area is the Rason Economic Zone in the Northeast, where North Korea has set up a banking system called Golden Triangle Bank. It is the only place where North Koreans can access a debit card, a small but significant step towards modernizing the country's financial infrastructure. The bank and other financial institutions in the Rason Zone are used to facilitate small-scale transactions, often involving foreign goods and investments. Despite this, most business within the country is still done in cash. The North Korean won remains the dominant currency used for everyday transactions. Although foreign currencies like the Chinese yuan and US dollar are occasionally used in border areas, North Korea's strict control means that there is no widespread use of international payment systems. Sanctions and the dark economy. Sanctions have been a major obstacle for North Korea's economy, particularly since the 2017 UN Security Council resolution that banned the export of key resources like coal and iron. These sanctions were designed to limit the country's ability to fund its weapons programs, but they have not been entirely successful. North Korea has found ways to work around these sanctions. One method involves the use of satellite imagery to track the movements of cargo ships. Despite sanctions banning coal exports, satellite images have shown ships carrying coal from North Korea to ports in China, often transferring cargo mid-route to avoid detection. These goods are then funneled through shell companies and subsidiaries to obscure the origin of the shipments. The North Korean regime has also been known to use the drug trade as a source of revenue. Diplomatic channels have been used to smuggle illicit substances like methamphetamine and opium, which are then sold in foreign markets. In fact, North Korea's drug trade at its peak generated an estimated $700 million annually. However, as global enforcement of drug laws has tightened, North Korea has turned more to cybercrimes and hacking. The role of cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency has become a major financial tool for North Korea, particularly for funding the country's nuclear weapons program. Unlike traditional bank accounts, cryptocurrency transactions are harder to trace, making them ideal for laundering money and bypassing sanctions. In recent years, North Korea has stolen millions of dollars in cryptocurrency from exchanges around the world. In 2024, reports showed that nearly 60% of all cryptocurrency-based crime was attributed to North Korean hackers. This theft has allowed the regime to fund up to 40% of its nuclear program using illicit digital funds. Through these crypto heists, North Korea has been able to stay financially afloat while continuing to expand its military and missile programs. Labor and work abroad. One unique feature of North Korea's economy is its reliance on labor exportation. Workers are sent to countries like Russia, China, and Laos, where they are employed in construction, mining, and other manual labor jobs. These workers are closely monitored, and a significant portion of their wages is sent back to the North Korean government. In some cases, these workers must pay the government a tax of up to 30% of their earnings. This money is sent back to their families, but the process is closely controlled, with brokers taking a cut of the remittance. Workers are often forced to live in poor conditions, and the funds they send back are essential for the survival of their families back home. The export of labor has been limited in recent years due to international sanctions, but it remains a crucial part of the North Korean economy. These workers are often used as a source of revenue for the state, allowing the regime to keep money flowing into its coffers despite international pressure. The role of state-owned enterprises and money laundering. In addition to its illegal activities, North Korea has also relied on state-run enterprises to generate revenue. One example is the Panyang restaurant, a state-sponsored chain that has been set up in cities across Asia. While these restaurants are presented as cultural attractions, they are believed to be money laundering fronts. Many have been shut down due to sanctions and security concerns, but a few remain open, serving as a source of income for the government and a way to funnel money into the regime. At the same time, North Korea has been known to use its embassies as fronts for illegal activities, including the distribution of counterfeit US dollars. The country was once notorious for producing near-perfect replicas of $100 bills, known as supernotes, which were smuggled into China and circulated through various networks. This scheme brought in millions of dollars, helping to fund the government's operations and luxuries during economic downturns. The struggles of the North Korean people. Despite the regime's efforts to raise money through illicit means, the people of North Korea continue to face severe hardships. Basic commodities are often scarce, and many citizens have limited access to healthcare, education, and basic necessities. The government's focus on military spending leaves little room for investment in the country's welfare system. In fact, one of the harshest realities for ordinary North Koreans is the risk of punishment for attempting to send money or goods to family members outside the country. Defectors, who make up about 33,000 North Koreans, often rely on a network of brokers to send remittances to their families back home. However, this process is fraught with danger, as any attempt to bypass the government's control over foreign currency can lead to imprisonment or worse. North Korea's economy is a strange combination of state control, illegal operations, and limited international trade. Despite facing harsh sanctions and international isolation, the regime has found ways to fund its military and nuclear weapons program through cybercrime, smuggling, and even exploiting its own people. The financial system inside the country remains rigidly controlled, with limited access to foreign currencies and payment methods. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on more in-depth looks into global economies, countries, and their finances.